When it comes to Onision, he is no longer getting localized attention anymore. Now he's getting an international spotlight, worldwide infamy. And within that, I wonder what he'll give. I can think of three real possibilities. Number one, you're talking about law enforcement. Number two, you're talking about platform giving away and the guy basically just disappearing and then you not knowing what else. Or three, you're going to see Onision or Greg himself give way. Now, within this, I want to make two statements too. Number one, this guy is afforded due process. I have strong opinions about this person. He has documented his downfall, but at the same time, he deserves due process just like anyone. Number two, I really do think that Onision is showcasing mental health deterioration. And I say that as someone who has worked in mental health before. It is part of my resume. So when I'm saying that, I'm saying to get help. I mean that sincerely. You do not need to go out and hurt self or others, no matter what went on in the past, no matter what's going on in the present. That stuff impacts the future. You're a father and on, so make sure to go get help. Now, when we're talking about this article, this is in the International Business Times. And really, to give you an idea of what this carries with, what weight it has here, we have articles with the Ukraine, with Iran, with Asia, and then we have this from stateside. You see the header on it too. Crime. And it talks about a name that is known with crime. You know, when you're talking about Chris Hansen, this isn't a name that just has stateside recognition. This is one that is known internationally because people, they've enjoyed watching him take down folks again and again. Now, when you compare that to Onision is a guy stateside that was known because he danced around in a banana suit. Some people may know him from YouTube. You know, he did have a big YouTube channel, but a lot of the stuff that he got known for was because of drama or a lot worse, you know, the accusations that came with it. Now, when you see a headline like this, again, if you were just some normie out there and never heard of it, you would see Chris Hansen's name. You would see the word witness, and then you would see time spent at the Onision household. Now, most people are headline readers too. So when they see that, this is going to sculpt a perception. And again, that perception, it might lead to stark changes in reality. So hey there. So today we are continuing coverage with Onision. And this article, it's fascinating in a way, not only because of the way it covers what it documents, but also because, again, Onision documented so many details that coincide with this that it's hard for him to deny a lot of the evidence that surrounds it. Yes, he can say what happened behind the scenes, but when you're talking about a 14-year-old living in your home, when you're talking about multiple other people giving this same thing, the same type of testimony, it seems damning. I mean, when you look at it, and again, that doesn't even count in items like, say, violating the Mann Act or transporting minors across lines because of relations, we'll put that word out there, and on. So when we're looking at this, again, you see the way that the article sets together. You see how it's presenting. It talks about interviewing Beck, 20 at the time, and how this goes in and gives credence to other person's testimony. Now, what's really telling about this is how it comes together, and it talks about that too, because it introduces that name. You see the name again, when it's mentioned here, when you see that name mentioned here, you're talking about a 14-year-old, now an 18-year-old who lived with the couple for a while, under the legal guardianship of one person in that. So you have somebody that is actually your legal guardian that is talking about predation during the stay, and that's absolutely insane. Then you have other stories that connect to this too. And I'm, again, not going to go through all of this. I just want to connect to it and, again, showcase exactly how other people see this. Also, let me mention this as we roll forward. If you like this content, you want to help out this channel, consider subscribing to it and sharing stuff like this. I think that this stuff is important, again, just from a looking at perspective, but also to keep up with what's transpired on the platform and more. And this it might bring about changes, many far-reaching changes. So you always wonder about that too. And thank you. So when we're talking about, again, Sarah, and we're talking about this connecting to other stories, they say with this that it's the same story, different characters. And they go through this. They say that at first it starts out with an enamored underage fan, always a girl, getting in touch with the couple and being enticed into a relationship with Kai, who now identifies as a man, then a woman. So they talk about identity. For some reason, they always bring that up. The girl is thrown out to the residence with promise of work, camaraderie, and a relationship with Kai. All of these folks, including Sarah, who was actually only 13 at the time of getting in contact with the couple, admits to willingly entering a relationship with Kai, which later turns into an awkward relationship with everyone being involved. Now, one thing that I do have a problem with in this is the free pass that you have one person give in this. And I'm not talking about the 13-year-old. I'm talking about the Kai portion. You know, Kai always gets a break in this. But when you're talking about it, that is not a good look either. So Greg, anyway, without talking about those dynamics, starts pulling strings from the background, coercing these folks into having relations with them. This inevitably leads to tension in the house with making a third wheel. The people in there, they feel victimized. They exit. And following that, of course, they talk about harassment. Now, again, Greg has documented a lot of that stuff too, pointing the fingers at these folks, and he had millions of people to turn to at the time. So to say that there was harassment, that's not a far-flung conclusion. Now, Sarah, in her interview, she talks about how she became part of that relationship as the Regina drama was unfolding, showing the lengths Greg was willing to go through, basically to gratify self. These women essentially end up functioning as the help for the couple, helping out with the kids, with chores and on. So all of this is happening while you have children present and everything, which is absolutely insane if you believe these claims. Regina claimed to have felt used by this and did this behind Kai's back because of coercion. He apparently, supposedly lied about this stuff, didn't tell his significant other, so that's an interesting thing to add in there too. Now, this leads to the leaving the house, but Regina states that the turmoil didn't come to a close for her there due to Greg broadcasting every minute or every detail of personal life to the internet, which always leads to people trying to hunt them down, trying to harass, and so on. Billy in this, this is a fascinating one because Billy basically got involved with smoking weed, quote unquote, lying to the couple about it. And Greg's answer to that was for her to get a tattoo on her backside and to chain her up in the basement. Again, if he was joking about this is the optic to it. Now, you have this all added in to the Chris Hansen reports. How do you think people see this? Now, Beck, as we talked about at the very beginning, backs up Sarah's tale. As this notes, Hansen's calm yet deliberate method of questioning really seems to work for these wronged women, giving us space to lay out everything that went on. His series started with Patient Zero, a.k.a. Shiloh, Greg's second wife. His story leads all the way back to 2011 and is harrowing. So when you follow this through, it basically connects everything. It gives you a breakdown. I will leave a link in the description for it in case you want to check that out. And you have a lot of folks out there that, again, have covered this over time. Now, what's insane about it as well is you have people that have been flagged repeatedly for using clips. That's why I don't use any of his clips. That's why I don't actually talk about what goes on in his videos and on, because again, that kind of stuff, no. But you see, like all of that, like he supposedly wanted to be a cult leader. He's supposedly been involved in basically trying to manipulate and coerce. And there are so many other articles out there that cover it from that perspective. If you look at the Read More, for example, you have 2 articles that are spotlighted, and this is out of droves more if you go online and look. That's not counting the videos either or the other accounts that are out there. It's absolutely insane, the avalanche of stuff that just keeps coming out. Again, everyone deserves due process too. I cannot stress that enough. You have to be very careful in the way that you handle this stuff. But I do wonder what's going to end up changing, because something will inevitably give. You'll either have the guy give himself, you'll have the platform give, or, you're going to have law enforcement involvement. So I do wonder what will transpire. You let me know in the comments. Now, closing this, I want to thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate you doing that. You empower endeavors. Many places forget that. I never want to, so I always end videos saying this to remind me to actually appreciate, and because I do appreciate, I never want to forget that. So, closing, thank you for showing up. I appreciate you. Won't take up any more time except to say you're welcome here anytime, and we'll be doing stuff again soon.